Hello! Thank you for tuning into my channel. We're in the city of Prague, where gas lights are still illuminating the nights and the streets, and it is still the rage, and you find them in the mid-town section of the old city. We are on Narodny Street, which is one of the main hubs in Prague. You will also find the opera, a good shopping center, and the famous cafe Louvre here on the street. The cafe was frequented by Albert Einstein and also by Franz Kafka, the artist. Ourselves, we had breakfast, lunch, and dinner there. I thought it was excellent. The service was more than good, it was also excellent, and the food economical and also very, very good. So when you're in Prague, go by, eat, have a cup of coffee, a piece of cake, and enjoy it. The decoration. You can also have a glass of champagne there. When you're in the old part of the city, be watchful, as it is easy to get lost. All of the very narrow streets, but you will see great architecture. The buildings, statues, the bridges, and the picturesque doors you see makes you taking pictures all day long. What I recommend for you is to take extra memory chips for your camera, batteries, and shoot away. When you cross the Vltava River by taking the Charles Bridge, it could be just like time travel for you back to the 17th century, when Maria Theresa still was the Empress and she came to visit Prague. Once you cross the river, you make your way up to the Prague Castle. It's actually more than just a castle. It's a palace. A palace, in one way, it is overshadowed by the cathedral that's on the same grounds. And what you find up there, at first, on the huge plaza in front of it, is just people, 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 and more people. I couldn't believe how busy it was. But before we're there, take another look at the riverside, at Charles Bridge, and at somewhat the skyline of the city. It is beautiful, and 4 days is just not enough. Having a nice lunch right downtown, getting a crafty meal, and back to the palace. There is the lineup I'm talking about. What we didn't know at the time was that particular day was a national holiday, and the visit to the palace was at no charge. Now, many of the people that you see lined up didn't just want to go to the palace, but they wanted to go to the gardens of the palace. For us, it was too much of a wait, so we stood by the main gate, and watch the guards change. Yes, a lot of people take it serious, but consider, there is no king, there is no queen. The buildings are actually off limits, you cannot go inside, because they are still in use for the government of the Czech Republic. Prague being the main city of the Republic. So this is a show that's put on for the tourists and all the thousands of visitors that show up on a daily basis. So the movements are exact and precise, almost like the penguins on the riverside. The exception is they don't move. So we took a leisure walk on the riverside had a snack on the way, and enjoyed the view and the nice weather. On our third day, we made another attempt to go up to the palace. We were a little smarter this time. We hired a guide, supposedly to take us through, and we were informed again that we're not going to be able to get inside of the buildings as they are in use by the government. I think I mentioned that already a couple of feet before. Anyways, you get to walk on the grounds, you get around the buildings, and so we enter the Cathedral of St. Vitus. It's a Gothic church with a lot of history. Yes, interesting if you like history and architecture. Of course, it's very elaborate, and there are displays. You walk by the royal tombs of royals from a time kind of passed by. But you also notice a huge solid silver sarcophagus. Supposedly contains parts of the body of Saint John Nepomuc, and he defied the king. He defied the king's order, and subsequently was executed. Was made a martyr, and as a result, ended up in the cathedral. It's considered a most important relic, and yes, there was numerous attempts to steal it. Believe it or not, they did, but no one was successful. The crown jewels on display. Careful though, don't try to steal them because they're copies. The real thing is locked up in the tower. Yes, in the tower of the cathedral, not the Tower of London. So don't mix it up. On the grounds, we are slowly guided into what they call is the Golden Lane, and it is in reference to the many attempts for alchemists to make gold out of the base metal. But I think we all know how that turned out. It's a historic building, historic lane sides. There are small cafes, small shops to buy trinkets and souvenirs and what have you. But in essence, it's a laneway that guides you to the outside of the complex. And as we go down, we take another look at the city skyline. And before we know it, we're right back in the city. On day 4, we wanted to see the astronomical clock and the market there. We spent a lot of time there. We spent almost all day. The clock, it takes time to figure out what it shows besides the time. Needless to say, it's very intrinsic in details. When we were there at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, it rang a few times, but no figures came out, and so be there on time, watch the figurines come out, do their dance, and entertain you for the minutes it's playing. At 3 o'clock, it tells you what time it is, and then it's off to the market. And when you exchange money in Prague, make sure you buy it in an office and not on the street. You end up with monopoly money, like I did. At the waiting hall of the main train station, we're obviously waiting for our train to take us to Berlin, and we shall see you in Berlin. Piece of advice: when you're in Prague, stay a little longer than 4 days. There is just too much to see. We're boarding, we're spending another 4 days in Berlin, Germany. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe. Bye.